list is.
Absolutely. Second part of the semifinals in the top 8. I'm going to hand it over to, I'm going to get it.
All right, this is game 3.
And this is a matchup between Mono Blue Stifle Knot and Replenish.
Correct.
Right?
And
So-
Cam should be on the play because he's the top seed.
Well, this is game 3, so it depends.
Right. Brian won game 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I caught the very end of it. Well, Cameron won game 1, so he should have won game 3. He should be on the play game 3 now. So, yeah, I have not played this matchup, but I know Brian, I think you might have was talking about it. Like, it seems to have a very interesting sideboard and very interesting kind of way to win this match.
Yeah, so
possibly.
I was talking to
left. Yep, we need to put the life total counter back out there.
okay.
As long as the Ravenous Balos are out, we're good.
This feels like a matchup where the life total is not nearly as important as the last one.
True.
So I had talked to Brian, and he had been working with David Raska. So David is someone who's been playing the Mono Blue Stifle Knot. He had played in the Fall Brawl and won, and I know he's been working on the Mono Blue Stifle Knot list. Brian Selden's been playing Mono Blue Stifle Knot in some online monthlies, as well as some paper tournaments that he had local. He's been testing out some new things, and I know he was talking to David, and the new sideboard plan involves using Parallax Tide, which in the last match, I was just as a viewer, just saw it come and play and really turn around some games. And when I talked to Brian after the match, he said, I think rounds 1, 3, and that quarterfinal were won pretty much single-handedly by that Parallax Tide. So it's nice when you have a sideboard card that...
Stream look like it freezed up.
No, it's fine.
It's buffering? Yeah. Okay, maybe okay, it's going again. It's going again.
All right, we're just trying to sort out some tech issues. I guess chat can give us some feedback if there's any issues that you guys are experiencing. That could help us.
Yeah. Sorry. Miriam the cat. Basically, we're in one big hall, and so this is kind of a way to try to protect the player's hands from the screen. They're kind of like sitting like next to the screen, but not like easily seeing of it. But like at the same time, just try to protect the integrity of the match as much as we can. It is kind of silly, but we don't have a separate room for them or anything because we wanted everyone else to be able to watch, but not crowd around them at the feature match table, which is up on a stage. So it's just a logistics thing, and we're doing the best we can.
Do you know why Ravenous Balos was chosen?
I do not know this.
Was this discussed on stream?
I don't know.
Maybe stream can let us know. I guess I don't think of
Is
Ravenous Balos as a hand blocker.
No. What would you say would be a hand blocker? Like Brainstorm? That's the way people have
It's got to be a
protected their hand.
pre-modern legal card.
Well,
let's start there.
Okay, all right.
I will say the first card that came to my mind, but it's not like a playable card by any means. It's Blind Seer.
I don't even know what that is.
It's
well,
like
no, it's 2 blue black. I know that.
2 blue for like a 3/3, and and it can it has some activated ability. It's some rare from Invasion. Someone else had suggested Spellbook or maybe Zur's Weirding.
Okay.
The irony between Zur's Weirding is compared to when it's in play. When it's in play,
right,
it's face up, but when it's on screen, it's face down.
It's face down. Right. What was the other one I was thinking of? Well, Oath of was it Oath of Ghouls? No, Parallax Nexus will take cards out of your opponent's hand, right? So that's one way, but or I guess you could also protect yourself. Can you target yourself with Parallax?
I do believe you can.
It's a card I've never read the actual, actually ever read all the way through.
I know some people have been toying around with it with some Stifle and whatnot, but I think they've not been happy with the Parallax Nexus. So
the finals are going to just be a best of 3 also. We just have venue constraints. We have to be out here by midnight. So we just got to make sure that this gets done on time. We're a little after 10:30 right now, so hopefully we can knock this out in the next hour and a half because we really like our hosts and we don't want to make them mad. But, we just want to make sure this gets done in time.
Jared's so worried about the time.
I'm so worried about the time. Being a TO with a top 8, if someone has a good idea of how to make it so you can still have a time limit on the top 8, let me know. In old school, we just flip Chaos Orbs after five turns and just make sure it ends because it just there we go, another man. A play you don't see every day in Premodern, we've seen twice in these 2 matches.
2 different decks,
Stifle the Fetch land from 2 different decks. This is 2 different decks, but 2 different Dreadnought decks. Yeah. So does this make you? I'm sorry, we're changing. Does this make you feel like he's got it turn 2, and he's just going to jam and say let's go?
It certainly, I guess I will say mana is also like important in this matchup, so that might not necessarily be the thought, but that definitely could be if you have a more aggressive play.
Okay, maybe not.
Looks like we're going to wait a little bit.
We're gonna wait a little bit, but
here, so.
But there is an importance there to just.
Ooh.
Oh, we're going the other way. We're going the other.
3 flooded strands. As Brian just flops on that.
Just flops. What about that? The fourth one was right there on the field.
Yeah.
I guess he's going for the shuffle. I don't know.
Well, it might be a mana denial plan.
That's my
he's
guess.
Attempting.
That's my guess. Yeah. Don't want to let him hit his basic land drops or something. Does he have back to basics in his board? That'd be sweet.
I don't believe he does.
Yeah.
I think it's just the Parallax Tide, and then
That's just humorous.
Yeah.
Man, we're seeing all the cool plays you don't see all the time.
I will say, portioning your opponent is not as exciting in real life.
Oh, he missed his land drop. This is wow. Okay, the Vantage bar swinging all the way towards Mr. Selden.
All right, well, so does that mean Cameron kept a 1-lander?
I guess so.
What?
Oh, Willie just got a text. Call your wife.
What cards, like, is there a 1-mana card that, like, Cameron
Swords?
has that would make him, like a blue card that, like, filters stuff out of the Replenish deck?
Careful study.
I
Is
don't-
he playing that?
I mean, I haven't seen Cameron playing, and I don't know his exact list, but that's typically not a card that people are playing.
Also, he's playing Mono Blue Dreadnought, but he's playing the Mistress Factories, which is just like a great second plan.
So, again, this is kind of circling back to David Raska. And so I know Brian I had played against him in one of the monthlies, and I had been using, it was actually just David's list from the Fall Brawl, and it had Mistress Factory. And Brian was not on Mistress Factory. And we talked a little bit afterwards, and I was saying how I really liked it.
That was a weird cut. Sorry.
I thought it was really unintuitive, but I think it makes the gameplay really interesting in a lot of matchups. And I know Brian had tried it in a paper tournament. I think the copies he's running is 2, which I think David had run 3. So I don't know if it's kind of in the middle of he's adjusting back, but he was happy enough to run 2. So
Okay. He's really scared of swords.
so that could have been a card that Cameron would have had in his hand, a land of City of Traders. That
Good point.
He didn't keep a 1 land, but he had multiple lands. But you don't want to lead with a City of Traders.
Absolutely.
So that makes
Good
a lot
point.
more sense.
Yep. Nope. Totally follow you there.
So again, we've seen like Brian use his resources pretty aggressively, like with the stifle and the portent, and here like counterspelling attunement.
Yeah, he doesn't want to let him dig. He doesn't want to let him draw cards.
Like attunement usually is not like looked at as like a high priority or a high threat card from the Replenish deck.
But if the other person's stumbling, you know what I mean? You
Right.
want to let them continue to stumble.
Yeah.
Well, according to some people, it's completely unplayable. But let's not forget the life totals. Yep, there we go. Frantic Search. Yep, that resolves.
So life total not particularly important, though. If we get to a 12 or below, then it is
Yes.
1 swing. I guess with the addition of Mistress Factory, I guess 14 could be one
Actually,
turn.
should Cameron be a 13? Because he has tapped that twice, once for an attunement and once for the Frantic Search. And he also fetched that got stifled, and he's been attacked twice. No, I know, but the Adhikar ways.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
I think that might be. Do you want to ask them? I don't know.
I've been laying off it because it's.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just noticed that. I like you said, like it could matter if it's 1 attack or 2. So.
It got weird when we tried to change it that in one of the other rounds. They put a weird stop on it. You tell me what you want to do as TL.
I would go ask them if they think that sounds right.
Well, I think if we look at the life pad, it's at 12. So I think Cameron is keeping. He does have 12. So okay, they figured it out here.
They resolved it. Okay, cool.
Well, yes. Okay, they did. You're right. They did correct it. They did correct it.
Cameron had it on his pad
Yeah.
the whole time. It just
Yeah.
wasn't updated on the phone.
Okay.
All right, so we have Flash of Insight.
This is why life pads are good. This is why you write it down.
So Flash of Insight is like another card that I keep coming back to.
Talk to me
David
about it,
Raska,
man.
but
Talk to me
obviously,
about it.
Like this is one of the cards that I had seen in some of the lists. Some people had tried it out, but like David had really like pushed into it, and so I believe Brian is playing 2 copies of it in the main, and I think that is something that he had discussed with David. And it's a card that another card that like I look at it on its face, it doesn't seem very powerful.
No,
but
the front end's really
yeah,
sad.
the front end is pretty clunky. But let me tell you, like when that card's in the graveyard, it is really powerful, and it feels like you have access to a bunch of cards, and really, really powerful because this mono blue Stifle Knot list just plays a lot of card filtering cards, the ops and the portents, and then obviously you're going to be countering some amount of spells, and so you get a lot of blue cards in your graveyard really easily.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to have a card that just digs a good chunk.
And not much you use your graveyard for nothing else.
Right.
So to use a resource you're not using is huge. And then when you do cast it on that back side, it's basically it's almost like a demonic consultation. You know what I mean? Like you're digging so much of your deck to find like basically the one card. Yep, I could really read that one.
I'm going to say
Dreadnought is my guess.
it doesn't even look like letters. It just looks like
It's a wingdings or whatever,
Yes.
whatever that is.
What if someone was like able to write in wingdings? Like
Well, I'll share with the chat is that I got a pretty cool gift today from Mike Arnold. He gave me a Siege Gang commander that had my name and the creature type saying Beantown Bossman written in Goblin runes. And then he gave an Elvish Champion to Nick Mayo with his name and like saying like Llanowar Emissary or something like that. Parallax died.
Oh,
it's on side.
Okay.
And he put it on on an Elvish Champion. He wrote it in Elfish. So like we have these like kind of unique. There we go, a little bit better. So really cool Siege Gang commander. Put it right at my cube. Written in Goblin runes from like Lord of the Rings. I'm guessing. I'm pretty stoked about it. It was a really cool altar he did. All right, a little bit of a slowdown here now that the menacing meddling mage is there.
Well, so this is one of the interactions where the Mishra's Factory in some ways lines up really well against a meddling mage because it just prevents it from clocking, which is relevant.
Yep.
But obviously it doesn't prevent it from like getting it off the table. So
Right.
Tide still can't be played. But it is a really like low opportunity in terms of like it's just a land. So like not having to commit extra resources or having it to be like timed, you just be able to play a Mishra's Factory on turn 2, and then have a card that'll prevent a meddling mage from attacking on this way later on turn 11 or whatever we're on.
Michael, Mishra's Factory is a very good card. I don't know if you know this. It's historically a great card. Always great. And we'll be seeing plenty of those tomorrow, actually, during the old school main event. Mishra's Factory is one of the cornerstone pieces of the format.
All right, so Cameron's going to attempt for a Parallax Wave. It is pretty painful to cast that, given he has to take 3 damage thanks to the Ancient Tomb and the Attic Waste. But there is a counter spell from Brian, and now he's going to impulse it in a turn.
Well, you mentioned that the life totals don't matter, but the chip out plan of the Mishra's Factory is real. I mean, I'm sure he's won a couple games this way, so it's not nothing. But still, he's already below 12, so
So that is true. And sometimes it's just like the threat of you being able to do that changes the way that your opponent has to plan a game, knowing that they just don't have infinite time.
Yep.
That because a card could chip in really makes them play more aggressively. When if that card were an island, then maybe Cameron wouldn't have to. Would wait until he has another white source that he doesn't have to take damage from, or like just can sculpt his hand so that he has more things going on in one turn and better plays around counter spells. So it does a lot without having to do much, kind of thing.
Right. Really interesting that he left some cards in the yard. Obviously, he left the other Flash of Insight, but he left 2 other cards for possibly casting the next Flash of Insight. They already have a few.
That is one of the things we talked about, because I asked him, I'm like, this is one of the things I've experienced is like, I don't know how big you deep,
How deep you dig.
how deep you dig.
Yes.
And he usually says, I usually just go them all, like dig it,
all
of them.
We did it. We did
Okay,
the
so-
Tide Stifle,
so
or Tide second Chain of Vapor.
First one was
actually.
a Chain of Vapor that got rid of the Meddling Mage, and that opened up the opportunity to cast Parallax Tide.
Jeez.
And then he had another Chain of Vapor.
You said it, Marcus. Sheesh.
So it took how many turns for Cameron to get 5 lands in play?
Yeah.
Or maybe he only had 4, and now they're all gone.
All gone. Bye-bye. Just falling up.
And then I mean, this tempo Tide, like given that it comes back to your hand, like the second time you can, assuming that they're not going to be playing land, like you can just keep them off of mana for like 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah.
And that certainly is really powerful against a lot of the decks.
So, obviously,
Though this one is a little bit weird because it's like you have to use 2 counters to get
you
the
do,
land.
but this is all about protecting his win con, right? This is like he's worried about Swords to Plowshares. He knows, I'm sure, it's still in the deck, but he's going for it, and he's like, you know what? This is worth it because I can win this game in 5 swings, so I might as well just start knocking this down, or even 4 swings if he cracks it, right? But actually, Cameron has a tough decision. I mean, Cameron's in a tough spot no matter what. What you gonna do? Do you take the 1, change the clock, or do you just or make him use 2 counters on it? He's gonna. Yep. Clock is now 4. He just sped up the clock. All this little extra damage has really mattered. Yep. Tuck it under. Boom. 2. Go to 3. Go to 6. Oh man.
So do you think this game's going to be won by the Mistress Factory, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. This is why it's there. I can't wait to look at his list afterwards. It's going to be very interesting to see what how it's constructed. Because you're saying there's only 2 Mistress Factories?
Yeah, that's what he told me. So.
Wow. That's surprising. I mean, it just I always think of it as a 4 of, but then down to 1, down to 2. Yeah, I mean, he's never going to get this land back. He's got to draw the. Oh, this is over.
Do you think Brian's just going to show a counterspell?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's Brian's style. I don't think that's Brian's style, but he definitely is in the I have it all kind of phase. Yeah, Lund, this is impressive. He's got multiple game plans. I mean, remember, was it 2 years ago when we were all like talking about how Parallax Tide with was just the most broken thing you could do, and we're all calling for it to be banned forever, and then it calmed down. But it's obviously now Replenish is steamed back, but now here it is being played, quote unquote, fairly. More so. It just one-sided Armageddons are pretty good. Yep, down to 2.
Right. I mean, I don't even know what Cameron can find from here. Ooh, this the port just to finish him off. Here, you could have this card. It's not gonna help you. I gotta promise you, it's not any good.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Brian Selden going back to a second finals at LOBSTERCon in a row.
Yeah, looking to go back to back.
Looking to go back to back at LOBSTERCons. Did you know that people who are good at Magics, win world championships, and they also can win LOBSTERCons? So